And welcome back, and we're moving into our final segment for today as we find out more about the European Nature Trust, also called TENT, and we have two persons with us to tell us about their recent ride. They're fresh out of the Chicky Bull, and they're going to tell us all about their experience. We have Paul Lester, who is a trustee and founder, and we have Sam Saturia, who is the general manager of the foundation TENT. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So let's start off by finding out more about the European Nature Trust and the work that you do. So let's start there.
Well, the European Nature Trust is really focused on preserving wild areas, remaining wild areas in Europe, in Romania and northern Spain, and also involved with trying to restore some rewilding areas, we call it. So much of Europe over the past 1,000 years has been completely depleted of its natural environment, and for many different reasons. It could be right back to burning of the woods and for sheep farming and the Industrial Revolution and so on. And we kind of thought that we should be spending our time focused on those remaining areas that are wild, you know, and really trying to preserve them in perpetuity. Because they're so rare. I mean, literally 1 or 2% of Europe is left of what was originally there. You know, we price for you know, previous behavior and habits. So so coming to Belize is very refreshing.
Yeah. So from Europe to Belize, how was that decision? How did that come about? And the Chicky Bull of all places in Belize, for instance?
Well, a gentleman who is in the British Army training over here, Chris Minty, brought a group of, I think about 8 of us 3 years ago over to Belize and showed us around, took us to the Chicky Bull, introduced us to Raphael, and you know, we all fell in love, you know, and I think that when you fall in love with a place, you really want to get involved. And for me, that's what's important, is getting people connected to nature, because we depend on nature. Nature does not depend on us. And without nature on this planet, we're doomed, really. So we came over and we got excited, and we thought, well, we must try and do something and help as best we can.
So how does this exposure or the awareness ride itself translate into helping the actual protected area?
Well, I think what we do is we do a sponsored bike ride. So every person that comes on has to raise a minimum amount of money from their friends. It's like crowdfunding. And when we put that money together, we have a reasonable amount, and then we can allocate those funds to where Raphael really needs them, you know, whether it be boots on the ground, protecting the forest on the border with Guatemala, or whether it be some science work, or whether it be developing a new tourism angle to the foundation, which I think is what we're particularly focused on. Yeah.
So what was that experience like for you, Sam?
It was great fun. We had a really interesting group of people, mostly from Europe and some from the States, and it was a real pleasure to host them here in Belize with a brilliant team on the ground. And we only had 1 day of rain, so that was good. A fair bit of it, but yeah, no, the sun shone and it was really good fun.
Yeah, but Paul was saying he loved all the mud, right? So that wasn't so bad after all.
Yeah, I think actually the group decision was that their favorite day was the muddy one. So no, everyone had a really good time.
That was the day on the Pine Ridge. Yeah. And the Pine Ridge is an amazing area too. I mean, you know, it's incredible just before you get into Chicky Bull, and how that and that ecosystem changes literally on the river there, you know, from limestone to granite, and how
the topography of the area.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal. It's very unique.
How many people did you bring for the tour?
We had about 10 of us in total.
Okay.
And yeah, as I say, mostly from Europe, but some from America. And we're looking to do this as much as we can, really. So this was just the first one. And we're hoping to come back in the winter.
And how much money were you able to raise?
Well, I think this time around about $20,000. I'll probably get that triple match fund from 2 other individuals that I know. So hopefully we'll come out with $50,000, $60,000. So fingers crossed. And also, you know, we donated the bikes to FCD.
Oh.
So we bought them in Miami, had them shipped over. And
rode them into the Chicky Bull.
Exactly.
And how did you get out?
Flew.
Well, so the bikes are here now in Belize, and I noticed there's no bike operations, no mountain bike operations here. So we're hoping that these bikes can be used by other foundations, particularly environmental and nature foundations, for their campaigns too, not just necessarily to do with FCD, but also with other foundations working in Belize, and they can then do their own bike rides. Oh, what an interesting picture.
Stop.
Yeah.
So this was an unplanned part of the activity, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with all our trips, we try and plan them as best we can, but
Yeah.
there's an element of reacting to external conditions, and we got stuck in the mud a couple of times, but the whole group piled in.
Now, I imagine, obviously, if you're an adventure junkie, this will appeal to you, and if you have a passion for conservation, it does as well. But what do you feel that those who joined you in this experience really took away from going into the Chiquibowl and experiencing nature as Belize has to offer it?
Do you answer that, or shall I?
Both of
You
you
start,
can
and
take
then
a
I'll go.
shot.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I think that when you take people into a place like that, I don't care what walk of life they're from, they will engage and they will see things and experience things and wildlife and whether bird life, or maybe you maybe find a big mammal along the way. You know, they hopefully will stay in touch for the long term. Now, that's not always the case. You know, it's a numbers game. You know, it's not everyone that wants to fall in love with a really wild area, but for us, trying to groups of people, so maybe in the next 12 months we'll bring over 50, 60 more people, and then some of them will drop out at the bottom and say, you know what, I want to get involved for the long term. And it's a changing of consciousness. You know, only 3% of global philanthropy goes to air, water, and soil, the very fabric of our existence, our home. You know, we, as I said before, you know, we need nature. Without that, it's quite terrifying of the thought. So if we can just see more people connecting to nature, that's really the motto of the European Nature Trust: connecting people to nature.
What was most? Go ahead.
Well, you use the phrase adventure junkie, and I think absolutely you need an element of the unknown and enjoying that wilderness. But I think what we try to do with our trips especially is make it accessible for everyone. There's going to be an element of uncomfortable riding at points, a bit of mud, but I think everyone really actually enjoys that. And then at the end of the day, make sure everyone's got a hot shower and can relax and enjoy being in that space, you know.
Not necessarily always a hot shower.
No.
As we discovered at Las Cuevas. But
Yeah, exactly.
So where did your bike adventure take you?
Well-
You ended in the Chiquibowl, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
well, we started in the north. We started at Chanchich, which for me is one of my favorite locations in Belize, right there on the Guatemala border. Then we cycled through Galanjug. We ended up on our second night at Duplois. And then we ended up going to MET, and Jim Beavis, in fact, was the gentleman that put together the whole trip for us. So he's our ground operator and partner in this project. And from MET, we were going to Hidden Valley, which was great. And then from there, we were meant to be going to a tented campsite by the river, but that was our rainy day, so we elected to go down to Las Cuevas straight away. And we spent 2 nights in Las Cuevas, which I think was well worth it. And that will be incorporated in all future trips, to try and spend the last 2 nights there.
As well as popping into Caracol at the end as well to show.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
We can't forget Caracol. I think that's that is my favorite Mayan site in the whole region, you know, the whole Yucatan and Belize.
So I gather that this entire journey was documented every step of the way. Are you planning to do anything with the footage, seeing as though you've toured the wilderness of Belize?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a great filmmaker with us, Dylan Haskin, who was, as you say, documenting the whole trip, film and photo. We'll be producing a short 3-minute promotional video about the trip, but then also possibly looking into cutting a slightly longer documentary about the experience and especially getting into some of the amazing stories you guys have here in Belize.
Hey, and that's the question I wanted to ask, because you know, from the places you visited to the people you interacted with, and coming especially from an area where you don't get to see the amount of greenery that we are exposed to. Most people who are flying into Belize are just astounded
Don't
by
forget, we are from
all
the
the
UK.
green. Yeah. And when you hear stories from Raphael in terms of the challenges within the Chiquibowl or in the other protected areas that you were at, what stands out to you the most?
Well, I think the passion of the people that are involved with these projects, you know, and Raphael's a real maverick, you know, and all these projects are spearheaded by people that would die for the cause. And I think when you have that kind of leadership, then you can really bring a lot of people behind you. And everyone we met was absolutely, totally engrossed in the project and the preservation of Belize's wild lands. And of course, it's not all a great story. There are threats to the jungles here, whether it be, in central Belize or on the border with Guatemala, and it would just be so great to see a rural green economy grow out of this, and the tourism opportunities, not just on the coast with the reef, but also what you have to offer with all the different kinds of geographical landscapes. I mean, yesterday we were in Runaway Creek, we were in the savannah lands, and I'd never been there before, and that was also unique. And so there's so much variety in a country really the size of Wales or Slovenia, with 370,000 people, and obviously the pressure from Guatemala with 45 times that population. That there needs to be some kind of prosperity there, and trying to get an agreement on how that should be sort of looked after, and not allow all this sort of incursions and things. But I'm sure Raphael's got a great vision for that, and we're very pleased to be able to support him.
Yeah. Did you have a great takeaway?
Yeah, I think for all of these amazing organizations that work on the front line of conservation issues, having a sustainable income is always their biggest challenge. And so what we try to do is maybe assist a little bit with that and talk to them and see how we can help. And things like bike riding and sustainable ecotourism is such a brilliant way for the guys to generate some income internally, with external support coming from different places.
Now, it's great to have an added perspective to the issues that we face within our protected areas. Raphael is great. He comes on the show. We talk about all the different issues that he faces that FCD faces in the Chiqui Bowl. And I think one of the greater challenges sometimes is having people connect with the issues. If you're living in the urban areas like Belize City, it's all jungle. It's a big jungle area. Nobody's making money from it, and we need more development. What do you say when you see it from an outside perspective in the importance of maintaining these natural spaces within our country?
Well, that's just what Sam was touching on there, was the opportunity for ecotourism, and it can be anything from a basic campsite up to a 4-star lodge. And I think there are already several of those in the country, but not necessarily in the Chiqui Bowl. And I think that there is huge potential in preserving these areas in perpetuity for the benefit of communities that live in the area, or even not so close by. So tourism is an angle that I think really pays. And I've been recently down to Brazil, to the Pantanal, and there they've developed a Jaguar Tourism business where they've managed to socialize all the jaguars in the area. So when I say socialize, they get them to be used to humans and vehicle noises and sounds, and so they're not just scared and so on. And of course, the great thing is here that in most areas, hunting is no longer allowed. As I understand, it's barred, but there is some poaching. But I think that if you can calm the animals down, relax them, there's opportunities to see them, and I think that's a great potential to learn from other regions, whether it be Costa Rica, whether it be the Pantanal. There are so many places around the world where they develop wildlife tourism, and I think there's an opportunity here to learn from those experiences. And hopefully that Raphael will go down to Brazil and maybe come across to Romania and visit our project there as well, and pick up some knowledge, and we can swap information. In the world of philanthropy and charity and not-for-profit, it's really great because you can share experiences. Whereas in the world of business, it's all sort of cloak and dagger. It's competition. But in the world of nature conservation, we should be sharing knowledge, and that's what we try and do at the European Nature Trust. We try and network and put different people together from different continents, and they can expand their knowledge.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. So you are planning to come back again within the year? You said in winter.
Yes, I think we'll do hopefully 3 more bike rides in November and December. Okay. In that sort of shoulder season, just before the high season picks up, we'll probably do 3 bike rides. We'll probably have 2 with North Americans coming over, and 1 with Europeans. And of course, we hope that Belizeans will be able to get involved too with the other charities, and maybe Raphael will have an FCD, a local fundraiser, and allow, and get local people involved and get them down there, which would be fantastic. That's really the aim, getting these bikes into the country, and now be able to use them. And I think we could start up a whole new little business there within the foundation.
And how physically demanding was the ride?
Yeah, at points it was tough. You've got a few hills here in Belize, but no, we always have some support vehicles on hand, so everyone takes it at their own pace. But we like to say it's a ride and it's not a race. So everyone takes their time, enjoys the environment, and hopefully has a good time.
Well, thank you for coming in and sharing your experience. It looks like everybody had a great time by the smiles on their faces, and we hope to welcome you back at the end of the year as well.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to go ahead now and take our final break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap-up, so stay tuned.